Today we're going to be talking about the 6 fragrances I have been wearing the most so far in 2025. These fragrances are not necessarily going to be new releases, but rather these are going to be fragrances that I know for certain I have really been making dents in this past month, and these are fragrances that I truly love. If this is your first time on this channel, hello, my name is Anya. I love perfumes and I talk about them here every single weekday, Monday through Friday. I also post additional content on TikTok and Instagram under the username ANECHKAFRAGRANCES, and I do have a podcast called The Fragrance Report. I post a live new episode every Wednesday, and I do like to publish full-length episodes on my YouTube channel as well. So, full disclosure, if you're someone who actually watches the podcast or listens to it, well then thank you very much for supporting, but I actually really love talking about my favorite fragrances of the week in that podcast. So right at the beginning, I'll usually do like a segment where I talk about what I've been wearing. But I know not everyone watches the podcast, so I figured it would be useful to do kind of like a monthly rundown of what I've really been loving in January fragrance-wise. So let me know if you want me to make that like a regular series. I haven't done a favorites video in a really long time, so it might be useful to kind of like do month by month again. So let me know if you'd like to see that. So with that being said, let's get into it because I'm actually really excited to share some of these with you. You might recognize some of them, but there are a few new additions to my collection that I've been particularly obsessed with, so let's get started. Starting off with Perfume Differenzi Latte e Mandorla. This is a gorgeous perfume, specifically if you want something comforting with like a bit of like a cool muskiness to it. There is almond in here, which features as a really prominent note, and to put it very simply, before I get into the note breakdown, this smells like very fancy lotion, like a very fancy face cream. You know what I'm talking about, something really high-end and luxurious. And to be honest with you, I've been wearing this a lot because it has been quite the month. So I've really been spraying this on. I really have been falling in love with this fragrance. And if you look, I have made a baby dent in this, which, considering that I bought this in December, is quite a bit of progress, and I kind of go between this one and Buontalenti in terms of my favorite from the brand. I think both are excellent. Latte and Mandorla is a particular favorite at the moment, but this perfume is essentially a very creamy, milky, lactonic fragrance with patchouli at the base, which is kind of interesting to me because I've only really smelled like fruity patchouli or earthy patchouli, and this perfume features neither one of those iterations of patchouli. So patchouli is featured in the scent pyramid, and on Fragrantica it's featured as a top accord. So that's a little bit confusing to me because I don't really smell that, but it might just be because I haven't smelled this kind of patchouli, if that makes sense. So this perfume has notes of almond and milk at the top, a mid of rose and anise, and then a base of patchouli and musk. So this perfume to me smells like a musk fragrance, very like leaning towards the lactonic accord. And it also smells kind of like almond milk, if that makes any sense, like paired with almond skin. It doesn't smell like a sugary almond, if that makes sense. It smells like a cold almond milk. It's very intriguing. It's one of those fragrances that's like a very beautiful musk scent, especially if you want like one of those comforting musk fragrances. Think somewhere along the lines of Piano Santal by L'Orchestre Parfums. That perfume was on my wish list for a while, and then this perfume came out, I smelled it, and I'm like, okay, this kind of like scratches that itch for me in terms of a lactonic musky perfume, but this one has like more almond and rose, and it has like a different direction, whereas Piano Santal is more of a celebration of musky sandalwood, but they kind of are related, similar. They're not that similar, but you catch my drift. So Perfume Differenzi, this is a really interesting brand, very affordable, by the way. They have a lot of really great options, and they've recently begun expanding in the United States, so I'm really excited to try more of their creations. So this is one I have particularly been enjoying. So next up is a fragrance that is newer to my collection as well. This was sent to me in PR, and I was debating on whether or not to include it in this video because I have been loving it, and I think it's definitely one of those newer fragrances in my collection at the moment, but this is definitely a perfume that I would especially recommend for this time of year because it's so cozy and warm, and this is actually beast mode. And I don't know about you, but like recently I've been kind of gravitating towards fragrances that are not really beast mode. I've been going for the fragrances that are a little bit on the lighter side. Sometimes sometimes I want a fragrance that's more comforting than like beast mode, if that makes sense. So a lot of my perfumes have been on the lighter side, but I was wear testing this one a few times and I realized that this is a beast mode fragrance, and I kind of liked knowing that I could wear a perfume and then I could smell it on myself hours later and still enjoy it. I know that's not new. Like there are so many other beast mode fragrances in the gourmand category, but it was really nice to experience it with this, and I've like particularly been wearing it over and over again around this time because it's been really cold, and this has like, been the ideal. I'm of course talking about Sora Dora Jany fragrance. This is a beautiful apple tart smelling perfume, but what's really interesting about this is that you get the apple, you get the caramel, and you also get like the dough accord, which I love, and that makes this perfume very unique in my mind. And I love how when this perfume dries down, you really do get that like dough. You get you get like that gourmand facet of the perfume even when it dries down like hours later. So this is an amazing fragrance by Sora Dora. This was sent to me, but I do have a code with them as well. It's Anya 10 in all caps if you want to receive a discount. And I also highly recommend checking out their discovery set. Sora Dora is quickly becoming one of my more favorite brands, especially in the niche category, because their quality is amazing and they have some really inventive scent combinations. So let's actually go into the rest of the notes, by the way. Okay, yeah. Okay, so this perfume actually came out in 2023, so it's not like a super new release, but this has notes of baked apple, puff pastry, cinnamon, vanilla, caramel, almond, nutty notes, apricot, peach, plum, osmanthus, and white musk. So yes, I really love Jany. I think it's such a gorgeous perfume. I definitely recommend Sora Dora if you want something that's more elevated, niche. I've been loving Sora Dora lately. I think that they have some really inventive and interesting options when it comes to fragrances, and I just find their stuff really interesting. And let's talk about something that's a little bit more affordable, right? So this is actually from Snif, and I recently became an affiliate with Snif, and they sent over a few of their fragrances. I also have Me, which I've been loving as well, but I would have to say my number one favorite option from Snif right now actually happens to be Golden Ticket. And if you look at this bottle, I have used this up significantly because it is just such an interesting fragrance. Think a savory black tea perfume. Like, I don't know about you, but I've been obsessed with savory gourmands. I know I just talked about Jany, but the reason why I love Jany so much is because this perfume does focus on the sweetness of the apple and the caramel, but there's a bit of complexity to this. You have like the dough as well. It's not just the caramel and apple, right? So that's why I love Jany. But this one's really interesting because it's tea, but it's strong tea, and it's a powerhouse. Like this will last the entire day. I did a video on TikTok talking about how this is like one of the best office-friendly perfumes because it does last all day, but it's not overbearing. It's not going to be like one of those intense perfumes that's going to overpower your coworkers. So this is just like one of those really good affordable perfumes that I particularly love. So yeah, Golden Ticket by Snif. I also do have a code with Snif as well. It's like the same Anya 10. I try to use the same code across all the brands that I have the codes with because it just makes it easier. But yeah, let's look at the notes because I think there's like black tea, green tea in here. Let's see. There's also some greenness. So yeah, black tea, green tea, mate, bergamot, sage, incense, amber, and vetiver. Definitely get the amber, like the ambery vetiver. The tea notes are very prominent, and like I said, this is a powerhouse of a tea fragrance. So if you want a strong tea perfume that's affordable, this is really excellent. So I've been using this a lot, clearly, and I think I only got it like at the beginning of this month. Yeah, so I've been using this a lot. I think I'm gonna need to buy myself a full bottle or another bottle of this because I am going through this one. So these next three fragrances are ones that I've been talking about a lot. So if you're a regular viewer, you will already recognize these. I'm gonna talk about the oldest fragrance in this bunch, which is Basilica first. This is Basilica by the brand Milano Fragranze. Again, a savory gourmand. So this has a milk accord, which translates to kind of like a bread-like accord, especially with the thyme and the rosemary notes that are in here as well. There's a bit of incense too, so you get like some of that light incense, but then you also get like a kind of za'atar bread aroma as well. It's a very intriguing fragrance, and it's one of my more comforting fragrances in my perfume collection. I do reach for this one a lot, and I especially have been loving it recently. This is what the dent looks like, by the way, so you can see how much I love this fragrance. And also it's pretty affordable as well. It's around, like, I think it's just under $200. I've had this for a really long time. And then another perfume that I absolutely love is Bloody Wood. I've mentioned this again a lot lately, but this is an excellent red wine, like sparkling red wine with the sweetness of cherry, rose, and raspberry. This is stunning. I love it so much. So Bloody Wood by Liquide Imaginaire. I do want to try more from this brand, so if you have any recommendations that I should know about, please let me know. Pop it below in the comments because I really want to try more of Liquide. So this is amazing. And then I also have Commodity Gin. So this has been a definite favorite of mine. I only received this from the brand in December, and I have been obsessed with it. It's, again, one of those like just staple fragrances for me. I recently did a video where I talked about my favorite cocktail-inspired fragrances, and I actually featured this perfume and Bloody Wood because both of these are great if you want something that's like gourmand, but like a little bit more unusual gourmand. And a lot of fragrances that have like a bit of like a cocktail accord tend to be more unusual iterations of gourmand fragrances, in my opinion. But I love Commodity Gin. This has notes of juniper berry, grapefruit juice, lime, ginger leaf, freesia, and labdanum, and then patchouli, smoky oak, and musk. This literally smells like a beautiful aromatic gin, with the juniper berry being very, very prominent, which I absolutely love. And this is a fragrance that you can only get in person at the boutique in New York. So if you want this fragrance, or if you want to try it, go to the boutique in New York, tell them I sent you, and tell them that you want to try gin. It's amazing. It's so good. Definitely one of my favorite juniper berry fragrances that I've ever smelled. And let's look at the dent. The dent is here. So yeah, it's a little bit, we're getting there, but I definitely see this as a staple fragrance in my rotation at the moment. So yeah, those are, like, I would say, the top 6 fragrances that I've really been loving this past month. Obviously, I've tried a lot, but I do want to really spotlight some of these fragrances because not only are these some new fragrances in my collection, but I've also had a lot of these for a long time, and I really want my focus when it comes to my personal fragrance rotation to be on new fragrances that I love, but also old favorites and old classics that I go back to and then I might reintroduce into my rotation, because I do think that's important. I don't always like how fragrances can become part of like this trend cycle. I think in many ways fragrances are being treated like fast fashion by some brands and by some trends online, and I personally don't like that. I like to really be considerate with what I put into my collection, and if I like it enough, I'll take the fragrance, I'll rewear it, I'll use it, I'll love it. And yeah, it doesn't have to be the newest thing, but like I said, some of these fragrances are pretty new, but I would say this is 2018. I believe this one is 2022, but I might be wrong. Latte and Mandorla, this is 2024. Basilica was released in 2021, and then Golden Ticket was released in 2023. So quite the diversity. Again, just because something is a little bit older does not mean that we should not revisit it and talk about it and buy it. So yeah, and by the way, like I've known about Bloody Wood for a really long time, and I just bought it like at the beginning of December. But yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching till the end. If you do want to see my weekly favorites more consistently, definitely check out the Fragrance Report episodes that I publish. Again, I publish a new episode every Wednesday, and I do publish them on YouTube as well for you guys to watch if you prefer not to use Spotify. But also, if you want me to do like more monthly favorites where I really break down like what I've been loving for the entire month, definitely let me know and I will do that. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you next time. Bye.